people behind them. KC Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This KC Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggus. Education is often the path to lift people up and move them forward towards success. That's especially true for those who face odds that sometimes seem insurmountable. Here in the metro area, KC Scholars is changing the paradigm. This nonprofit is helping hundreds of students, supporting educational opportunities, allowing them to get the knowledge and training needed to rise, as well as helping to transform the region's workforce and economy. KC Scholars works to increase college completion rates for low and modest income students and adult learners across a 6-county bi-state service region. Since 2016, KC Scholars has helped 775 students through its scholarship program, creating leaders of the future. Why did KC Scholars take on this challenge, and how does the organization accomplish all that it does accomplish? Earl Martin Phalen leads the organization. He's president and CEO. And Earl is a true educational leader with an impressive background in the field. And he joins us to talk about the amazing success of KC Scholars. Thanks for joining us on KC Cares.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Well, I wondered if we could go back just a little bit, and it probably predates when you joined the organization. But this all started with one of Kansas City's iconic leaders, and that's Ewing Marion Kauffman,
Yes.
Mr. K, as so many people will recognize. And if you can share with us how his vision of moving the thing forward now embodies KC Scholars and what you all are doing.
Yeah, this really started with Mr. Kauffman's program called Project Choice, where he just believed that finances should not be a barrier to anybody's decision to pursue a degree that led to a good job. And he was often quoted as saying that the best social program that this country could ever have is a good paying job with strong benefits. And so when he started Project Choice, that later became Kauffman Scholars, that later became Kansas City Scholars we are today, his vision was to go back to his high school and say that any one of you, if you stay on the right course, you make the right decisions, whatever school you get into, will pay for your college tuition. And it was just a beautiful spirit of which he made that commitment to young people here in Kansas City. And then it obviously has evolved over the last 35 plus years to become KC Scholars.
Well, just a little tidbit to share with you and our listeners. I remember years ago when I was a radio reporter and when that project launched, and I remember sitting in his office and doing an interview and him talking about what his vision was and, you know, how proud and excited I think he would be to see this iteration. So give our audience your elevator speech of what Kauffman Scholars is and what you're doing.
Sure. So KC Scholars is focused on two things right now, really helping 50,000 Kansas Cityans lead the types of lives that they deserve. And part of that is having a family sustaining career. We do it in two ways. One is if you want to go get a college degree, we provide scholarships, $50,000 scholarships to about 775 students every year. And then we support them to and through college. They have a college advocate who helps them with thinking about courses or what's the right college that's the right fit for them. Or if they run into any obstacles, how can we help them navigate those obstacles? So one pathway is the degree, and that's for both 11th graders and for adults. So 775 scholarships were awarded last year. Next year, we hope to award 1,000 scholarships in the Metro KC area. The second pathway is not everybody wants to get a degree, and you can still get a credential and get skills training and get into a really, really good job, a job that pays $45,000 to $85,000 a year plus benefits. So we have a program called Great Jobs KC that supports individuals. You go through 4 weeks of professional skills training, time management, interviewing skills, resume writing workshops, et cetera. You go through 4 weeks of that, and then you go into occupational skills. You may want to go into healthcare, construction, manufacturing, IT, education. And we have the training partners that we've been blessed to bring on who will help you get through that program that gets you the credential, and then we'll help you get jobs. And I'm so proud of the fact that we already have 352 graduates of Great Jobs KC, and over half of them are making that $50,000 to $85,000 a year.
That's amazing. And Great Jobs KC is a newer component for your program.
Yeah, Great Jobs KC is to honor the fact that what national data says is pretty true for Metro KC, which is half the high school seniors. So there are 22,000 high school seniors in our 6 metro kind of county areas, 108 high schools. Half of those students are saying, I want to go get a degree. That's really important. But another half are saying, I want to go get a job. I'm ready to work. My family needs me to contribute. And so we're honoring the choices that young people are making today and really saying, whether you want a degree or whether you want a credential that leads to a great job, we'll help you either way.
Your numbers are astounding. It's just incredible to hear those numbers. When I was fortunate enough to hear your package story when I went to the Chamber's diversity breakfast, it blew me away. Your numbers are out of this world. So tell us how you do this. How do these kiddos, first of all, get to you with the scholarship program? Application, do you search?
Yeah, so the scholarship program, you just go to kcscholars.org. The website's really easy to navigate. And if you want to get a degree, you can sign up now. Our applications open in January every year, but you can sign up now and you'll be on a list to get notification when you can start to fill out your application. Last year, we had about 3,000 people apply. We had 1,400 that met our qualifications, so 2.5 GPA or higher. Personal statement, a couple references. We really want to know who our scholars are. We have a great community panel that reviews applications, 300 volunteers. So if somebody wants to volunteer and be a reviewer, 300 volunteers review the scholars' essays about who they are and who they want to become with this scholarship. And then we award the scholarships. We were only able to give 50% of our qualified folks. So people who met that 2.5 bar, they had great personal statements. They have great aspirations for the future. I mean, $775 $50,000 scholarships is a lot. We want to over time double that so that anybody, to Mr. Kauffman's original vision, that finances don't stand in the way of anybody who's worked hard, made the right choices, and wants to get a degree to have a better life. We want to make sure that finances is no barrier. But the process is a simple application process for our scholarship, and you can go today and sign up for our application.
And I assume if you wanted to volunteer, can they do that also on your website?
Yeah, so if somebody's interested in being a volunteer, there are many different volunteer opportunities. Volunteer readers of applications, go onto the website. We have events with our scholars. So there's upcoming games with the Royals. There's an upcoming game where we're going to be featured with the Kansas City Current. We're having about 1,000 people come out to each one of those games. And it's so nice to have many of our families go and they say, wow, this is the first time that I went to Mr. Kauffman's stadium, right, to the K. This is the first time I've seen a professional women's soccer game. So it's a great way to build community. But we have volunteers for those events because the both teams and the Monarchs did the same for us. The minor league baseball team and the Mavericks, the hockey team, did the same for us. They'll have a nice area for us where you can get hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, and drinks and build community prior to the game. So we have volunteers that come, about 25 for each one of those events. And we have an event every 2 months bringing together our scholars. We now have 6,000 students in our scholarship program, and we have 2,000 adults in our Great Jobs program. So we almost have 10,000 young adults and adults, and we just like to come together as a community periodically so we can celebrate the successes that our children are having, our young adults are having.
It must be a tough job, though, to read through those applications. As you said, you're only able at this point to grant about 50% of those who meet the qualification. What kind of lens do you put on that? I mean, how do you make those determinations?
Yeah, it's when you give away 775 scholarships, you feel great about it because many parents come up to me at the orientation and say, my son or daughter would not have had the opportunity to go to college but for Kauffman Foundation's generosity and KC Scholars' existence. And so that's a humbling blessing. And we have a rubric that we look at to score applications. But when you know that another 775 young people could have earned this scholarship and they don't get it, it just makes you want to secure more resources. And so we're always looking for community partners who say, hey, we want to fund a scholarship. We want to name a scholarship in honor of somebody that we love or care about. And we have those opportunities for donation as well. And it's $50,000, but it's $12,500 a year for four. It's $10,000 a year for 5 years. So many people, individuals, many companies can sponsor 1 scholarship, 10 scholarships, or 100 scholarships.
You came to this field in a very interesting way. I would love for you to share your journey and your background and your expertise, as I alluded to in the introduction.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my mom had me when she was 16 years old, or she was pregnant with me when she was 16 years old. She couldn't raise me, so she placed me into the foster care system, where I spent my first 2 years in Massachusetts foster care. Went from one home to another, and then I was adopted into the Phalen family when I was 2 years old. And so it's been a personal journey of mine to understand that, but for my mom making her decision to place me up for adoption, that she wasn't in a place to raise me and give me the best life. If it weren't for the Catholic Charities and my social worker, Fran Decker, if it weren't for my Phalen family, my parents, I don't sit here as a Yale and Harvard Law School, Yale undergraduate and Harvard Law School graduate. And so when you're blessed to have a journey that is transformed by other people caring about people who are children who are not theirs, or young adults who are not theirs, it inspired me to want to try to do the same for others. So that's what we're trying to do at KC Scholars. Just, again, be part of a caring community that wraps around young adults and adults 17 and older who want to live their best lives. And we also want to do, as you said, honor Mr. Kauffman. I mean, what an incredible leader, what an incredibly generous spirit. And we want to honor his legacy and his wife, Muriel's legacy of wanting everybody to have a fair opportunity to be their best selves.
Well, thank you for sharing that journey. It's interesting to me, you have a law degree and here you are dealing with education. What flipped that?
Well, I went to law school because I wanted to be the mayor of a city. I thought I wanted to be a politician. And I started volunteering in Boston at a Boys and Girls Club, Roxbury Boys and Girls Club. And I just fell in love with direct service. And I said, you can use legislation or you can use your political lens to change the world. But you can also work directly. And I just found my spirit was I want to work directly with young scholars, with adult scholars, and help them be their best selves. So it was my law school volunteer experience that said, no, direct service is the way that I'm going to go. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
You don't look old enough to be doing that the last 30 years. Just on a side note. So I want to go back to the scholars, but I do want to talk about your background, because I think that's interesting for people to understand that nonprofit leaders come from all different walks of life to this service in our community. Talking about your scholars, so you first started awarding in 2016. So those kiddos are out of college at this point.
Yes.
I assume maybe you track where they go and what they do. Give us kind of a flavor or a snapshot, or maybe a favorite story of one of those kids and where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, we do track, and we're so proud of our scholars. A lot of individuals don't know it, but for first generation, for lower moderate income, for Black and Latinx students, there's about a 24% college graduation rate, meaning those who start freshman year, make it all the way through graduation and into good. We're at a 73% graduation rate. Wow. And I'm just so proud of our scholars for their persistence and for their fight and for their hunger to use education, as Mr. Kauffman envisioned, to better their lives and to better their families' lives. And what we're doing now is really working with all of our scholars to say, originally it was, can our kids get to college, right? And then it became kind of in the 80s, 90s, can they get to and through college? And now we're saying it's to college, through college, and into a great career that allows you to have a family sustaining. So we're working with all of our graduates. Our class just graduated, as you shared, and we're working with them to make sure they're getting the types of jobs that will allow them to take care of themselves and their loved ones.
Any stories that pop out that you would want to share? You don't have to reveal name. I'm just wondering if there's a student that, or students that maybe have really stuck and, warm your heart.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many success stories. We have, we just had a scholar who literally did not think that they were going to be able to go to college because finances, the money barrier was going to be a challenge to them. And they won the scholarship. They went to school. They had trouble originally just because their previous educational experience didn't quite get them ready for that college level rigor. We have, as I said, a one-on-one scholar advocate, working with their scholar advocate who's like a coach. They kind of went from, this isn't for me, and I'm gonna quit or drop out and go home, or stop out and go home. Got encouragement that, you can do it. And it's okay to ask for tutoring. In fact, gosh, if you live in a wealthy community, you're going to get Kaplan, you're going to get all these other tutoring and specialized services to get an edge. You shouldn't feel it's a bad thing to take advantage of the resources there on campus. They started to do that. Then they started to get more active in social groups on campus and became one of the campus leaders. They are now literally, they're a campus on the campus student government, and they're about to graduate and really figuring out if they want to go into nursing as their piece, or they want to go into it more an administrative role within the health system here in Kansas City. So it's just, but again, we just have hundreds of scholars who maybe either knew they could do it, but didn't have the money, or in some cases didn't know that they could do it and didn't have the money, but then all of a sudden got their footing and started to become successful. Another one of our scholars who's a class president in high school, but he was a real kind of trouble leader. Like, he was a leader, he was a leader for the wrong things. And he got connected with his ninth grade principal and dean of culture. And it was like, if you don't get this together, this is where you're headed. And it was a real kind of honest conversation about what his future was going to be. You're a great young person. You have such talent. You have such leadership skills. People want to follow you. But right now you're using it all for negative. And he's the oldest of three boys. And he went home and decided, he was going to change his pathway. And again, became class president in high school, and then went on and getting a 3.2 GPA at his institution. But here's the kicker. The first bed he had ever had, he'd been homeless his entire journey, he and his brothers, his mom. The first bed he ever had as we went to his particular university for their summer program. That was the first time he'd ever had his own bed. So these are the type, and now he's 3.2 GPA and selected for several leadership things at his institutions. We just have so many incredibly beautiful, so many strong, so many talented. We talk about, you have to learn grit. Our kids know grit beyond what would break most of us. Our kids need opportunity. And what KC Scholars does is it opens up an opportunity to say, hey, if you're given a chance to play on this playing field, what happens to be college in this case, you have more than enough savvy, you have more than enough perseverance, you have more than enough intelligence to go there and excel in your chosen pathway. So we're just trying to support all the beautiful scholars here in Kansas City in being the best selves that they can be.
We're talking with Earl Phalen. He is the CEO of KC Scholars. You had also talked about wanting to double the number of kids that you can support financially. Okay, how are you going to do that?
We're going to do it in a few ways. So right now, a scholarship is $50,000. We awarded 775 $50,000 scholarships last year. We want to, over the next 3 years, award 1,500 $50,000 scholarships every year to great Kansas Cityans, deserving Kansas Cityans. And so we're going to do it two ways. One is we're going to raise more philanthropy. We're blessed to have a major grant from the Kauffman Foundation, a $183 million grant that they made at the beginning of KC Scholars, and we're still in the middle of that grant. So we'll continue to use their support for scholarships. Second is we've been blessed to raise, the Kauffman covers about 250 scholarships, but the community has covered 500 scholarships. And then the third way is that we're going to work with our institutions. Many of our institutions are saying, wow, these are really talented young people, and the only obstacle is finances. So most recently, it was kicked off really by UMKC saying, we'll match. You don't have to do 50,000. We'll do 25 if you do 25. So that obviously doubles the number of young people. Most recently, we had Kansas City Art Institute, University of St. Mary's, and Northwest Missouri State all say, we'll do 100% of the scholarship ourselves. We'll cover 100% of the scholarship costs as long as you continue to identify these incredible young people. And then you continue to do that support, that coaching, the mentorship, the advising, the support with identifying summer internships that convert into jobs. If you do that piece, because they're looking at our graduation rates and saying, you're getting 73% graduation rates. Usually when you look on a lot of campuses, that's in the 50s. And if you look at Pell students, that's who are our scholars, that's sometimes in the 30s and 40s. You're getting 73% graduation rate. We want those students here. So we'll do it through a mix of raising additional. We hope half of it comes from additional fundraising from companies, corporations, foundations, and individuals, and half of it comes from our institutions saying, we want to get your kids here because these are future leaders of America.
Partnerships are important, is what I'm hearing from you, nonprofit leader. You got to go out there and get those partnerships. I don't want to not talk about, you're doing all this magnificent work with Kauffman Scholars, or I'm sorry, KC Scholars.
Yes.
Correct that, kcscholars.org. I'll correct that. But you've got some other things going on too.
Yes.
Personally. Yes. So if you want to talk a minute about that, and then I want to know, how do you balance being the nonprofit leader and then having this stuff over here?
Yeah, I run another nonprofit that's obviously I shared my life story and what my parents, George and Veronica Phalen, did for me. And so after I came out of law school, we built a first nonprofit called Bell, which was Building Educated Leaders for Life. But it was really named after Professor Derek Bell, who made kind of the ultimate professional sacrifice and walked away from Harvard Law School because they said they couldn't find a qualified woman of color. And so he said, and he was tenured, so he had lifetime. He was the first tenured African-American professor at Harvard Law School, and he made the sacrifice to leave out of principle. And so we named our first nonprofit, which was after school and summer programming after Professor Derek Bell. So the nonprofit's called Bell. Bell is still doing incredible work. We grew Bell from 25 children in Roxbury to 15,000 children participating in after school and summer programs around the country. After doing that for 17 years, I realized it was frustrating doing this great wraparound support, and you need the wraparound support. You need everything. Right. but it was frustrating doing the wraparound support and then having our children saying, gosh, I wish this were my school. I wish this summer program were my school. I wish this parent saying it, teacher saying it. So we said, you know what, let us take all that we've learned and apply those skills to really running great schools. And in many cases, turning around existing underperforming schools so that our children can have the quality of education that they deserve. And we've been blessed to do that. So we now, the George and Veronica Phalen Leadership Academies, or PLA for short, is a network of nearly 30 schools around the United States. And we work with children grades K through 12. And we go into schools that are really not giving children what they deserve and what they need to live the American dream, to use education to build the future that you desire and deserve. And we've been blessed. We've turned half of our schools already from F-rated schools into A-rated schools. And one of our schools, or two of our schools that we just started in Montgomery, Alabama, which is one of the communities in which we serve. We're in Kansas City as well at Hogan Prep. But one of the schools that's just starting that's just going to be starting soon. We were able to take it from being the worst school in the district to in Montgomery to the number one performing school in the district. And we did that in a year. So the scholars respond if they have love, if they have nurturing, if they have high expectations, if they have the resources, if they have teachers who are passionate about their success, they have the school leadership who is driving, if they have if we see parents as partners in this process, our scholars respond. So yeah, I run PLA as one nonprofit, blessed to have a team that I've been working with for now over a decade. And so I provide some strategic advice and guidance to keep that organization being great for K to 12. And that's why KC Scholars is such a perfect partner organization, because it really picks up the scholars in high school and then says, okay, on your journey from high school through your career, we have both this scholarship opportunity and this great jobs program. So I love what it's doing, because it's trying to help make sure that everybody has the economics to not have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, or not have to worry about, well, can they afford housing, or if they get a flat tire, do they pay for their tire that gets their child to childcare and them to work, or do they pay next month's rent? That's just nobody should be living like that in this incredible country. And so that's what both my nonprofits try to do.
Yeah. Do you sleep? How do you do it? How do you do, really, how do you do that as it's an issue. You've got two great, robust organizations. So what's your secret?
Well, great teams, great advisors. So, both my organizations have phenomenal governing boards. And so when you get good strategic advice about how you can move, or if you're running into a challenge, you have great strategic advice to how you help you solve that problem faster, then you get to solve the problem faster and you need less time. And then just incredible teams, both at PLA and at KC Scholars, just phenomenal leaders. The KC Scholars team, when I arrived, was 21 team members. There are 84 of us now, and they're some of the best in the nonprofit sector. And they're doing community engagement, and they're doing training programs for the workforce development, and they're providing that coaching through the students, through our college students, and through our credential seeking students. And then they're obviously doing the fundraising and the finance and some of the other operational HR and other operational pieces. But great teams is the way you win. I mean, Kansas City, as you have over your shoulder, wins with great teams, right? And it's all the pieces. It's not just Patrick Mahomes. It's not just Kelsey. It is a robust defense with Chris Jones at the front. It is a great coach. It is strong ownership. It is an entire community that wants Chief Kingdom, that wants the Chief to win. So it's the same in organizations. You have to have it from top to bottom.
Well, I know we just have a minute or two left, but I wanted you to share quickly. You have a book out that now everybody can learn the magic, right?
Well, they can learn something. It's called giving my all. In fact, I'm on the Kauffman Foundation board. And when I joined the board at Kauffman Foundation, I was blessed to be invited. The first thing they did is they gave me Mr. Kauffman's autobiography. And in reading it, you feel like you know Mr. Kauffman. And I know I'd never met Mr. Kauffman, but you feel like you know what his values are, what he was trying to achieve, the sacrifices that he made, the setbacks that helped him become so successful and such an incredible entrepreneur and philanthropist. And so I decided when I received that book that I wanted to do the same for those with whom I serve, which was to write my autobiography so individuals could understand a little bit about my mom and dad are no longer with us, but understand who my mom and dad are, what incredible people they are and were, and then understand a little bit of what I'm trying to bring to life through my work. So Giving My All is my autobiography, and it's just a chance to share a little bit about my personal journey.
It's Casey Scholars doing incredible work for young people, but for the whole community. And Earl, we thank you so much for just spending a little bit of time to share all of this with us.
Thank you for the opportunity to share. It's been great being here.
Thank you for joining us on Casey Cares. We're Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by a nonprofit, Charitable Communications. This Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. To be a guest on Casey Cares or underwriting opportunities for us, visit our website, caseycaresonline.org, and spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio and Instagram at Casey Cares Online. And don't forget, you can catch us Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on Casey Cares.